Gervonta Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero for the WBA lightweight title, live in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. A fight that has been brewing for the good part of what? Well, about 6 months, maybe longer than that. Obviously, this fight was supposed to happen a while back before Tank Davis fought Isaac Cruz, and obviously Romero got tangled up in the whole domestic violence case and all that. But that is behind us. The fight is here now. Like I said, at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. So a weird fight, not weird as in the fight itself is decent. Obviously, you got Tank, who's 26-0, who's one of the most explosive fighters today in boxing. One of the most, I think, popular, you'd probably say, as well, with the way he fights. He has the whole Floyd thing behind him, which I think we now know he's going to leave Mayweather Promotions after this, which is a good move in my opinion. And somebody from a young age who's always, he's young now, but has been built up for quite a long time. You look at his record already, 26-0 at, what is he, 27? So not like young, but relatively young in boxing terms, and not even in his prime yet. So somebody who's making his way up, and I often fought with Tank. My issue is not his talent. I don't think you can deny Tank's talent. My issue is he ain't fighting nobody with a pulse. Now recently, Isaac Cruz is a dog and he's a very good fighter. Santa Cruz is good, but just too big for him. And with Rolly Romero, there isn't really much of that either, but there's a bit of heat between these two, which I do kind of like, and Romero seems very confident. With Romero, I wasn't that privy to him beforehand, but you look at his record, not terrible. 14 fights, 12 KOs, so and he's only young, he's 26 himself, so it's and he's somebody, like I said, who backs himself a lot. If you look at his record, there's no real standard names on it that really like I said, have it. He fought Anthony, I want to say Yigit, I don't know how to say this, pronounce the second name, where he was 26-2, so not the worst record, and that's probably the best name, I guess, on his resume if you look at it, because there's nobody who really, if you look at their records, they're not really anything that spectacular. He fought Jackson Marinas, who lost to Richard Comey in his last fight, and they also lost to Romero. So again, not terrible names, but nothing that really stands out at you. And again, with Tank, I think after this fight, just a step up would be nice. I think it's maybe why he's leaving Mayweather Promotions. With PBC, Mayweather and all that kind of stuff, PBC, to their credit, do put on great fights, but it's usually with their own fighters, We've seen Errol Spence in his last 3 fights. Fought Ugas, fought Danny Garcia, and fought Sean Porter, 3 very good fighters. So it can be done. It's just about how it is, how you navigate it. If you look at Tank, he's currently obviously fighting at lightweight, but he kind of goes up and down the divisions. He fought at 140 at one point, so obviously he was at super featherweight before, so he's kind of going he's not really sticking to a weight division like you see a lot of fighters do. He kind of going up all over the place, and I think if you look at fighters like Devin Haney, fighters like Tiafimo, fighters like Ryan Garcia, they seem a bit more, it seems like their path is a bit more straight, whereas Tank is going, I'm pretty sure he beats quite a few of these guys, but it's just, you don't know what he's ever really going to do, and that is my frustration with him. But regardless, I am going to watch this fight. It's an interesting one, and a very, because of the heat involved, I like it. But in this fight, Tank's obviously the clear favourite, I think, in this fight. And, if you look at the tape, like I said, Tank, 27, Romero, 26. Romero's slightly taller at 5'8", and there actually isn't much. Actually, Tank's actually got a reach advantage here, barely. It's 2 centimeters, but he has got the reach, and he obviously southpaw is Tank, and Romero being the more conventional orthodox fighter. said 26 wins for Tank, 40 for Romero, 24 for Tank by KO, and 12 by KO for Romero. So similar ratios in terms of the records, but yeah, and neither of them have lost either. So obviously, one of them is going to have their records taken away, the all taken away. Interesting note: Romero made his debut 2016, Tank in 2013. So Romero 2016, so about 6 years as a pro. So he's had relative amount of experience. But if you look how Romero fights, he kind of does fight very, very sloppy and isn't really that convincing in there. So yeah, I do wonder what his sort of whole thought process and plan will be in this fight, because watching Romero he's not really that pleasing in the eye, but in a fight like this, I do think he'll come to fight. So if we do start off with Romero and what I feel his keys to victory are in this one, the first one, and it's might seem weird because I did say Tank does the reach advantage, but Romero has weirdly long arms, and he kind of just fight at his range. So I want, he fights very long, very wild as well. But I think first just keeping it long. Tank is someone who needs to get inside. So I think if you can keep him at a certain distance, I know the reach advantage isn't exactly for you, but you've seen with all fighters where they haven't got the reach advantage. That if you can just keep it at your pace, I think it's just or your range even, and at your pace, I think it's way more. It makes me way more sense, and I think for Romero as well, keeping that very long, and if you just keep Tank at the end of your shots and don't ever step into his range, I think with Romero, he's very wild, and he just sometimes, and Tank has a tendency to throw shots out of range. So I do think for Romero, just keep at your range and also use the jab. Simplistic, but you've got to keep Tank off you somehow, and the jab is the best way to do that. Tank's defense is very, very good, but he isn't a Floyd. He's more of an aggressive fighter. So I think if you can keep him at the end of your jab and so just keep him at bay. Tank's a bit of a pit bull, and I think if you can kind of keep him at, I think he was injured in the Isaac Cruz fight, but Isaac Cruz did well against him, especially with the body work. So I think if you can just sort of use that jab, keep him off you, pop him to the body. I do think for Romero, his chin's held up thus far, but you don't really want to take that risk against someone like Tank. And the one thing I also would say, and this is a very, very big, this is the one that he has to do: fight smart. You cannot fight like a lunatic like you have always done in these past few fights, because against Tank, you're just asking for it. Same thing what Santa Cruz did. Santa Cruz, for some reason, decided that it was a good idea to have a brawl with Tank, and eventually he got laid down in what was probably the KO of the year. And I don't think, if you're Romero, you just gotta be smart, follow a game plan, stick to it. Like I said, keep long, use the jab, frustrate Tank, but do not brawl with him. Fight smart. Romero is stupidly wild, and he's like a lightweight Deontay Wilder at times. He just throws crazily out of range, and it ain't smart. Like I said, just fight your fight. You don't need to. I understand he can get wild. You can maybe pop one here, but you got to understand how powerful Tank is, and I think just be smart in there. You don't need to overextend at times. Do it once if you feel the need, but don't keep doing it, because eventually you'll get caught. And yeah, I think for Romero, it's a hard one for him, but I just think if you could just, like I say, keep long, use that jab, be intelligent in there, fight to a game plan, don't just go wild. And I think, you got a very good chance. And also, if you can push Tank back a little bit as well, I think it helps. But yeah, I think for Romero, these are the keys. Again, I don't know how good his chin is yet. Against Tank, it's probably the ultimate test. So I think thus far, I won't want to gamble on that. So yeah, to me, fighting smart, though, is the key in this fight for Romero. And if he could do that, look, who's to say he can't get the win? A lot of people didn't think Kambosos could beat Teofimo. A lot of people felt like it wasn't the same as this, but it was quite similar. Complete underdog, and he pulled it off. So who's to say Romero can't? But yeah, I think, but these are, I just believe that, like I said, long, jab, and fight smart. These are the ways I think he gets it done against Tank. And when you go into Gervonta Tank Davis. The first thing I noticed when watching Romero, he leans forward a lot. And I mean that extremely. So, one of Tank's best shots is the uppercut. That left uppercut is ruthless. So to me, I would say, if you want to look up for one power shot, look for the uppercut. Don't look for anything else. All right, let me rephrase that. You can look for anything else, but to me, that should be your main shot, your money shot. Because the way Romero fights is also very wild. So, and he'll throw a shot and he'll almost fall over himself and fall into the shot. And I think if you're Tank, I think if you can just time him perfectly, I think that's the other thing which I would say as well with the uppercut. If you can try and time him coming in, because Romero, I said to him to fight smart. I don't know if he will, and if he doesn't, don't do that. I mean, you could brawl with him and Tank. I think if these two get it, I think Tank wins, but why take the risk? I think if you can just pick your shots and time him coming in, I think that is the way I think you get the knockout. I don't think you get it by forcing it, but the uppercut, like I said, is key. And if you can time him with the uppercut, I just think it's money. I don't see Romero surviving one of them shots on Tank. He just hits too hard and he's too explosive, and especially at lightweight. I feel like lightweight, in my opinion, is his best weight. He did alright at 140, but I don't know. I just feel like at lightweight, there's just something about him. I feel he just kind of feels a lot more, just a bit more stronger, you know. At 140, like I said, he's good, but I feel like he's just a bit too small if you fight some of the better guys. But at this weight, 135, perfect. So, yeah, I'd say uppercut. Like I said, if you can time him coming in, that uppercut is going to be it. And one thing I also feel with Tank, he's very physically strong. I would say push him against the ropes and really try and brutalize him, because you can't just hope for the Hail Mary shot. Tank rarely does that anyway. Tank's a lot better boxing I think people do give him credit for. He's not just wild, he's very, very smart in there. And yeah, to me, I think if you can just push him up, especially if you can get that left hand to the body, which is always been a money shot for Tank. He's beautiful with those body shots. And yeah, like I said, I think push him against the ropes, bully him, be the bull in there, try and just be the aggressor. And like I said, I think the way he leans in, Romero, the way he's wild, I can't see Tank catching him. I think he'll definitely, if he doesn't care, he'll definitely drop him in this fight, I feel, because Romero's just way too wild in there. And I don't know if you can rectify all those things in a relatively short space of time. So I feel that for Tank, like I said, those are the keys for me for Tank. The uppercut, timing him when he comes in, and push him against ropes. And I feel that is his best, is keys to victory for me. Now, when it comes to my prediction for the fight, like I said, Romero's a dog. He'll come in there, he'll fight. I think he's got heart, and I do think that he does have a lot of confidence and actual, genuine belief in himself. I don't think he's him deluding himself, but I can see nothing more than just a Gervonta Davis knockout. The way Romero fights, he's so wild, he's so reckless in there, and I don't know. I feel like if he doesn't have a highlight reel in KO, I just think he will end up stopping him. So I'm going to say around 5 KO, I would say. I was predicting the round. I don't really predict rounds, but I feel like I'll get it done around 5, around that time. And yeah, Tank, hopefully now he's leaving Mayweather Promotions, maybe he goes on to something more. Maybe he signs with his own. Maybe he does. For the love of God, do not go with Bob Arum, but I don't know. I just think there's a lot there for Tank now. I don't really look at him as somebody who I feel like he's almost been shackled a little bit by how Mayweather Promotions have kind of handled him. And I hope now he can get the fights against the likes of Ryan Garcia. Maybe he can get the winner of Haney and Kambosos. I just think if he can just get some bigger fights now. I think he's at a point now. He's had enough learning. He's a pro. I just think, yeah, there's somebody elite now. You need the names now on your record, and I think he beats Romero, and I think hopefully, I hope he stays at lightweight as well. Don't go up and down. Just stay at 135 for now. I think these are where the big names are there for you. So yeah, I do think he's the X factor in this division, and I like to see him against some of these other guys, like I said, against Haney, against Kamosas, against Ryan Garcia, against Lomachenko. People haven't really spoke about that for a while, but that could be one, maybe if you're going to 140, Teofimo's going to 140, that would be a great fight. So, yeah, I think one of those would be an incredible fight. But yeah, just my prediction. Gervonta Davis and Romero, an interesting fight. And like I said, I think Tan gets it done. So, yeah, and until next time.